The meeting to order for the Freetown Zoning Board of Appeals on January 13th. I'm going to get a little bit of business out of the way first and read this Governor Baker statement before we get started.
Right, that blind there.
Pursuant to Governor Baker's
Turn
March
these lights
12,
on here.
2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of the people that may gather in one place. This meeting of Freetown Zoning Board of Appeals will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with the right and or requirement to attend the meeting can be found on the Town of Freetown's website. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting or participate in the meeting hearing may do so in the following manner: download Zoom, enter in the ID below, call in the number listed, and enter in the member ID, or by going to our Zoom location and enter in the meeting ID. Okay, fellas. All right, that's it. I'm gonna open up the. We're gonna kind of open up the continuation of the 28 Huron Ave meeting that we had a few weeks ago.
Mhm.
So, Mr. Hutchins, I see
sir.
you are traveling somewhere, hopefully
Yes, we
somewhere
are.
warm.
We're down in cold Alabama.
Cold Alabama.
It's cold down here.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's almost as cold as up north.
No kidding.
Uh-huh.
All right, so last meeting, you were going to go back to your engineer and he was going to basically plot that addition onto the
Right.
property so we could actually look at and see what you were actually doing, because we didn't have that
Right.
information last time. I see that's been done and it's been forwarded to us.
Yes.
Nick, did you have a chance to look at it? And Rob, you had a chance to look at that as well?
Yes, I had a chance to look at it.
Okay. Mr. Hutchins, if you like to talk, you want to give a little description, go right ahead.
Well, it just, there's not a whole lot to add to other
Okay.
than the engineering setbacks on that. One, the south corner, I believe he shows as 7 foot 7 inches back, and the north corner shows at I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think it was a foot 1.9 or something like that.
Yeah, 1.5 feet.
Right. Uh-huh.
Okay.
So, I think it just really falls on, a decision, that you guys make,
I don't, even from the last time you were here, the other corner was only a half a foot away from the road last time, and we did not approve your variance at that time. Now this time
back in 2010, you're talking
yes,
about,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
Now you're at 1.5 feet, and that's the opposite corner. So,
yeah, I don't think back in 2010 they even showed the north corner setback.
maybe I
think it was on the south corner. I think it was 0.47 to the front, right there at that foundation where the retainer walls are. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody on the board like to talk about any questions, any comments, or concerns?
So my question would be, the proposed plan, the main plan, it still shows proposed storage building, and it still shows that 0.47 with the retaining wall there. And then in the locust off to the side, it shows it at 7.7 feet.
Which is where the front wall would be constructed.
Right.
Yes. The 0.47 is where the foundation comes to. Yes.
are you proposing removing that piece of foundation that goes to the 0.47 and staying with basically the outline of the new storage building at the 7.7, or are you going to leave that all the way out to the 0.47 and only build on the piece that comes up 7.7 feet short?
Only build at the 7.7, but that retainer wall would have to stay where it is out to that 0.47 because it retains my neighbor's property.
Okay, so your plan is to leave the retaining wall, the foundation, the retaining wall there as is, and just build on a portion of it?
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I don't know if there's anybody from the public that's here. I don't know if there is. Anybody would like to speak up, they can certainly unmute but I don't think there's anybody here. No, okay. Okay, I don't see much difference from the last time, being only a foot difference. So I am quite concerned on the safety of that corner, okay, to be honest with you. I don't like anything a foot and a half off the road. A lot of things can happen with that. Kind of makes me a little nervous and it's to me, it's unsafe. So it's a problem with the neighborhood. It's a detriment. And
Right.
safety.
I mean, the neighborhood, that's pretty much the just of the roadway, between my neighbor on the south with his retainer wall, my retainer wall on the north side, which is timber holding my septic system, runs pretty much parallel right on that line, It's just, it's just the way that road has been. And the retainage of properties away from that road being that close. The road bed, the actual tired blacktopped bed of the road is probably about 4 feet away from those walls. So as traffic comes down the road, they're quite a ways away from any of the retainage along the roadway.
Mr. Chairman, this is Nick. I have a few questions.
Go ahead, Nick.
So we keep talking about the roadway, but how far, especially over there, the property line is not the roadway, correct? That roadway is further off that property line, or am I mistaken?
No, according to the engineering of the original road, it was engineered at 20 feet, which I believe is pretty much all of the roadways throughout the town. However, because of the narrowness, and it shows that on the plan that the actual road width varies based on the particular property situation. I know we're as a neighborhood jointly coming together and rebuilding that road in the spring out of our own funds in order to have a better surface. And the road will be rebuilt at the 12-foot width, the way it is now. Again, and away from the side retainer walls, so that there isn't any question of concern there.
Okay.
Being a private road, it kind of, it works differently than a public road. And some of you that live around the pond know how those situations are. And there's not a whole lot we can do to change those things.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. One other thing I had a question on. So the last meeting we had, we went through your application and your answer for the variance and the hardship. I'm still having a little bit of trouble kind of understanding it. So I understand the 2010 flood. Your well was underwater. You had to do whatever you can, put it across the street, and just touch everything possible to get it done. So you had
Right.
water. Now I'm
Right.
just questioning the hardship for this shed right now. Because as I'm reading it, it doesn't say that you destroyed a portion of your house or property or anything like that because of this 2010 shed. But what was there ahead of time besides root balls and anything else? On a
Well,
wood retaining wall?
the retainer wall and then the tree stumps that were left after, around the pond, I think there's a lot of, I believe they're beech trees or birch trees.
Mhm.
And for some reason or other, they get diseased, and within a year they need to be taken down because they basically rot out. And that's what I surmise happened over in this particular area. Because when we excavated, I mean, ideally we were planning on just removing the portion of retainer wall to be able to excavate for water line. And when we started excavating, the root balls that we took out of there encompassed pretty much of that whole area. By the time we took all the root system out of it. So because of that, that whole retainer wall had to be taken down, and we needed to excavate in order to hold and put the foundation in to hold my neighbor's property and my property against my existing house foundation. So, I mean, and that brings us to, I mean, I keep going back to that event, and that was the only reason that we even invaded that area, was to be able to keep the property from being condemned by FEMA to have water, because they came in and they told us, if you don't get water, we condemn the property, and it goes on the deed that it was a condemned property, which would have been detrimental to the property.
Okay.
So, we're just, I mean, that's pretty much where we're at. And we just look at the property and see what can we do to improve the property, for the neighborhood and make it a usable space,
Okay. So as it relates to the proposed shed, what would you say that your hardship is for the construction of it? Would you go back to the 2010 flood and the removal of the foundation and the tree, or is there other things that present a hardship at this site for this variance?
Well, I mean, a hardship, I have a hard time identifying what hardship would, what the definition of hardship would be in a case like this. I think, again, I guess I'll use the same reasoning that I used at the prior meeting, and that's just to improve the neighborhood and the property, instead of just seeing this big slab of concrete, as we go down the road, So I think it's more of an emotional hardship than it is, any other type of hardship.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was all I had.
Okay. I see Jeffrey Chandler is here. And hi, Jeff. How are you?
All right, fine, thanks. You hear me?
I have you. Your secretary is bothering you a little bit over there.
Yeah, you see that.
Yeah. Hey, I assume you're here for this tonight. This is why you.
Yes,
I don't know if you would like to add anything or not,
I
and
would.
speak freely.
I'm hearing him keep saying a shed. But the plans I looked at today that he sent in, it's a connection to the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't, it still doesn't matter if it's a shed or a part of the house. It's still the setbacks, but he's showing foundation walls going to the house and that being roofed over, so we'd have access to get into the house as well. So I look at it as it's an addition, not a shed.
Okay.
But if I could interject, Jeff,
Yeah.
there wouldn't be access to the house from that foundation. That foundation is a three-sided solid foundation, and it's well below the level of the floor of my basement even, you know, so there wouldn't be access into the house. As far, the only attachment obviously is, and you pointed it out at the last meeting, was the deck that comes from the house to the framework of the back of that foundation currently. And that's the only attachment, is the deck work, which I, you know, in my understanding, I didn't think that a deck constituted part of the building structure. You know, just as just a passage around the building.
Yeah. Again, what I looked at today, towards your neighbor's side, you have a window on a foundation that goes to the house from the back corner, and the north side, it's a full wall that connects to the house. Going back to the whole thing, whether it's an addition or a shed is less than 200 square feet, or a shed, you still, my looking at the bylaws, you still need the setbacks of 30 feet. Even though your house is grandfathered in for that side, that lot, because when it was built, it was grandfathered in. So the house doesn't need the setback. So what you're actually trying to do is, whether if it's connected, you're making a non-conforming structure more non-conforming, or if it's detached, you're encroaching on a setback itself. So it still plays the role of the setbacks that you're encroaching on.
Okay, Jeff, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm ready to, if you guys are ready to close this meeting and make a decision.
I have no further questions.
Okay,
Nor do I. If there's no questions from the public, I'll make a motion to close this portion of the public hearing so we can deliberate.
I second.
okay, second has been made to close the public hearing, the public portion of this hearing. Do a roll call vote. Rob Joes,
Aye.
Nick Velozza,
Aye.
Jim Freight says aye. Okay, the public portion has been closed. All right. Anybody interested in making a recommendation on this?
So just from what I'm looking at in some past rulings from town council, I think it would be appropriate that if the building was not detrimental to the neighborhood, that the building inspector or the zoning enforcement officer in this case could make a determination that it'd be buildable. However, my concern comes back to the same safety concern I've had in the past, where it's only 1.5 feet off the side of the road layout. Now, I understand that's not the actual road. However, the actual road, as the Mr. Hutchinson has said, could be anywhere within that layout, especially if they're planning on upgrading the road in the future. They're supposed to get together this summer, and that doesn't stop the town from ever taking that road over. Or if the petitioners wanted to, they could have petitioned the town to take it over if it was built to town specs. And we've done that before in other situations where private roads have been taken over by the town at town meeting. So that road could technically fall anywhere within that road layout at any time, could be changed by either private means or by town means. So my concern is still a safety concern and would be a detrimental concern to the neighborhood where you have a structure, whether it's attached or not attached, that would be only literally 1.5 feet off the road layout. So that would be my concern.
Mine as well. It's with me. It's a big safety issue, and
I mean, it's a low speed road. It's not like it's a main primary road.
It's not.
It's a very low trafficked road, but that's today. That's not 5, 10, 20 years from now. And that, unfortunately, we have to take all that into our decision.
Understood.
I share Bob's concerns. I mean, well, I did also review the letter that he is referring to from a few years ago from the attorneys. However, I do think that 1 foot, 1.5 feet, excuse me, is far too close to that road. I do think that's a safety concern for the travelers on that. And all points that Bob said, I believe, are valid. At any point, can the town go in there or anyone and take over to that property line for that road? That would, and again, I don't think being attached or detached has anything to do with it. In my mind, it's still just a safety concern for that area.
I'm in agreement as well. So I'll entertain a motion to all right, I'll make a motion. I'll entertain a motion to deny the variance requested.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Okay. Can I get a second?
I'll second the motion with discussion. The reason that I'm seconding the motion for denial is, so it's stated for the record, is the safety concern I have for the 1.5 feet off the road layout. Also, I don't think the applicant demonstrated a true hardship. If the piece of if there was a shed there existing or a building there, a structure there was existing, and that was torn down to put in his water line, he would like to rebuild it. That would be, for me, that would be a true hardship. Simply by replacing a absolutely needed retaining wall, which I think he should have replaced and he needed to replace, but by adding a structure on top of that, I don't see that as I don't see that as a hardship. It's a benefit, yes, but it's not a hardship. So that would be my caveat to my second.
Okay. All right, so the motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, we will take a roll call vote. Rob Joes?
Aye. In favor, says an aye.
Yes, to deny the variance request. Nick Velosa?
Aye.
Jim Frey says aye. So the motion has failed and the variance has been denied.
All right, gentlemen.
Appreciate it.
We tried. Thank you.
Sorry.
All right. Have a good night.
Yeah,
Take care.
fucking tried. Oh my gosh.
Your microphone's still on.
Yeah, microphone's still
Yeah.
on.
That's
It is what it is.
Thank you for the profanity.
We appreciate that. Okay. All
All
right.
right, guys. All right. All right. All right, thanks.
Okay, so our second meeting for the night, I'm gonna call that meeting to order, which will be for 10 Wardell Street. I'll entertain would you like to waive the reading of the public notice?
I'll make a motion to waive the reading of the public notice.
Rob? You're muted.
Sorry, I was muted second.
Motion was made and seconded. Roll call vote. Rob Joes,
Aye.
Nick Velosa,
Aye.
Jim Freights, aye. Okay, 10 Wardell Street, we will like to call you up to the table here and discuss what you would like to do.
Hello, so I'm Tracy Heather, my husband Jeff. This is my family home. My parents have lived here since 74. So my husband and I just went through the lovely task of purchasing the house out of a family trust. with plans hopefully to do an accessory apartment for my aging parents. We're looking, sorry, they gave me a look. We're looking just to put on a simple 1-bedroom kitchen, family living area with a shared space for them to be able to come into the main house. Just so it makes life easier to take care of our, our elderly parents and
Mhm.
not have to change locations and family friends. And they've lived here for their whole life, pretty much, the comfort of their own home. So right now we're all happily coexisting while we go through this process of hopefully being able to move forward on this.
Okay, I've reviewed the plans. I'm sure, Rob and Nick, you've reviewed them and taken a look at them, and,
I have reviewed them.
yep. This is, again, I always say this is what the bylaw is for. It's for a family member to stay attached and close to their family and like I said, coexist and, so, anybody, Rob or Nick would like to, do you have any comments? I have no comments. I checked it. You got the required square footage, you got the exits. For me, everything looks copacetic.
Mr. Chairman, this
My
is Nick.
1980s.
Oh,
Hi, Nick.
excuse me. I do have a few, or one concern.
Okay,
I do agree this is what this is made for, but one, I did review the application and I did see that said 870 square foot. However,
Mhm.
that family room with the case opening makes that essentially all one house. And I'm worried that that square footage will be counted towards this accessory apartment. Because
I did see
Sorry?
that too, but I don't know if I would be counting that family room as part of the accessory use.
Existing,
well,
that was
that,
the existing sunroom that we have right now on the house. So it's actually existing to the house as right now. So we're using that as the common space to come in between the two locations.
okay, so would you say that's a mudroom?
No, we're gonna have a mudroom from us coming in from the garage. We're sharing that also, which would be a mudroom laundry room. We're putting the washer and dryer, and would have the opening from my parents' living room into the sunroom that we have existing now as kind of the shared area.
I think you called it a family room. Did you call
Yeah,
it a
It's
family room?
it's called
That
a
was
family
the
room.
guy that was our architect who drew it up, labeled it as a family room, which is
Okay.
right now is it's not even a 3-season. It's not finished on the inside,
Mhm.
sunroom area.
Okay, I was more wondering if that would be a vestibule, but is the building inspector still on, Mr. Chairman, if I may ask him a question?
Go ahead, Jeff's here.
Yep.
So in your opinion, with that case opening, does that family room and living dining room now become a part of one space?
I did bring that up to them. Originally they had a door there, so I considered that part of the accessory apartment. But with it being cased open, it's more of a common area. So
Okay.
I don't see an issue with that, building code wise, but zoning wise, I don't see an issue with that.
Okay,
The
thank
way
you.
the way it's laid out from, to enter, for the entrance being on the backside, I don't see an issue with that.
Okay.
Nick,
thank you. That-
were you thinking that they were using that as part of the, and it would have brought it over the 1,000 square feet? Is that what you-
that was my only question, but if that's a common space, I completely can understand that from the
Mhm.
kitchen and all that. And I agree that I don't think that should be counted. So the 870 square feet, I think works for me.
Okay.
So that was my only question, and I think that was resolved. So I have no further questions.
Actually, I had the same exact question, was the
Mhm.
square footage and whether that was counted in the square footage or not. Is there, and I'm asking Jeff, is there a delineation between the two sides? Is it, I know on a duplex, there has to be a, burn-proof fire-rated door. There has to be 2 forms of egress. What is the building code for a simple in-law apartment?
The building code for an in-law apartment is, it's not really written down for an in-law apartment.
I think they treat it like a bedroom, Jeff.
Yeah, it's more having a separation makes it a second dwelling. Without a separation, I look at it this way, when they first submitted the plans, they had a door there. And after talking to them, I felt comfortable of them eliminating that door. And that by the location by the kitchen, it's more of a common area. In that back corner would be the starting of the entrance of the accessory apartment. Everything was isolated to that back side. And at that point, I felt more comfortable with that. But going by building codes, there's no building codes that really direct their attention to a accessory apartment or an in-law, other than a separation of the building, and we don't, the zoning bylaws don't allow a second dwelling on a property.
That's why I was thinking it'd probably be listed as an added bedroom, whatever that
Yes.
falls under. That's what I'm thinking. So,
Well, on town bylaw, it specifically points to a cooking, as a kitchen has a cooking appliance, which makes it a kitchen, which makes it a second dwelling, which makes it an accessory apartment versus just an extra bedroom or whatever. It specifically spells it out, and we had I only know that because of the last building inspector / zoning enforcement officer was a question about it and what specifically made an accessory apartment.
Mhm.
And it was
Okay.
the presence of a kitchen, cooking appliance in the kitchen.
I have no further
All right.
questions.
okay, great. All right. I see Mr. Petro. I'm sorry. I don't know if you're
Yes.
I don't know if you're part of this or
Yeah,
you
I'm
have some
with,
comments. You're a neighbor or you're
I'm with Tracy and Jeff on the, helping them with the construction.
okay. Didn't know if you
I've
did
talked to
that.
Jeff a couple times.
Okay.
We removed the doors. It is a extension of the existing dwelling, and therefore it can't have a separate utilities, electric, so it's part of the existing house.
Okay. All right. Understood. All right, fellas. I have everything I need. We can, I'll take a motion to close the public portion of this meeting if you wish.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion is made second. Roll call, close the public portion. Rob Joes,
Aye.
Nick Velozza,
Aye.
Jim Freights, aye.
Well, does anyone have any other questions? I'll make a motion.
I would just recommend if you make a motion that the family room area is specifically not included in the in-law apartment. So that way the square footage stays at the 870, and specifically for the 870.
Okay. I'm for that. We can note that in the record.
I'll make a motion that we grant the in-law apartment for Mrs. Heather with Rob's previous comments.
Oh, second.
Okay. Motion was made and it's been seconded to approve the special permit for the in-law apartment. I will take a roll call vote. Rob Joes?
Aye.
Nick Velozza?
Aye.
Jim Freights, aye. So you are approved and get ready to put a shovel in the ground.
I will do that if I
Thank
could
you.
tomorrow.
Yep, I'm sure you would.
So thank you
Okay.
very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you can call Nils too. He'll tell you all the processes to get everything, the paperwork and the wait period and all that stuff. So
Fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do we?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we're good. Okay.
No swear word, please.
No swear words.
No,
Only have
no.
swear words.
No.
Thank
I
you.
think
Have a good night.
I think I yawned at a planning board meeting and got in trouble, but that was that 4-hour meeting, Rob. They really
No,
are.
pretty much.
These guys are happy, so.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Congratulations.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Mr. Chairman, I don't seem to find the agenda. What was next on the agenda?
That is it. I think,
Approved minutes?
do we have some meetings there, Nils? That might be it.
Yeah, it was just the minutes from December 9th.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was it.
Nils, do we have any other business listed on the agenda?
Nothing is listed on the agenda, no.
Is the
No,
the
I meant,
minutes-
does it say any other business for discussion with the board or anything?
That's,
Or is it
it just says any other business properly come before the board. That's our fourth item. That is it.
But is there any way that we'd be able to discuss Bob's comment regarding a cooking appliance for an in-law?
We can.
Nice job.
Rob, you okay with that? We good with that? You know, Jeff's here. We can-
Okay.
Are we able to do that, or do we need to put this on a meeting agenda and have a
Technically, it's supposed to be
discussion?
on an agenda. We're outside the scope. It should be on the agenda. We could have had a
Okay.
discussion during that last, if that was
No,
concerned
and if
during that
ever,
last
if you ever
hearing.
want to put it on, it's there, it's done. So
Okay. Yeah.
it's approved as this plan.
Not muted.
Can you
So
mute all?
You can always reduce. You can't add on without,
Nils,
Nils?
Nils, can you?
Yep,
mute?
I
There you
muted
go. All right.
Uh, So I guess in my opinion, Bob, because this did come up, even though came up from a member, I thought we could have additional discussion about that because this wasn't necessarily even applicable towards that, that meeting.
Okay.
Does any,
I don't-
if
I
we
don't know of any
disagree-
legal problem with speaking about it or not deliberating on anything. We're just having a general
Okay, well,
discussion.
Then I would like to just talk about it. So I know Paul always used that as it's an appliance. Once that's gone, it's not an accessory anymore. However, I do disagree that it does clearly state that in our bylaws, because I don't think it does clearly state that. And there's nothing that stops me from putting multiple kitchens in my house. and-
I was always of that opinion. If you get to Fall River, you would have, everybody's got that basement kitchen. I don't think that.
Right, so I just
I
think,
would be upset. I'd be upset if the building inspector wanted to deny me put a kitchen in my basement and I'm not doing an in-law because I wanted one.
Well, you can have
I
as many
just-
refrigerators if you want. You can have as many sinks as you want. But I don't have it in front of me, but we can have Nils pairing it up for the next meeting. Or I just have it populated between us, the actual verbiage of the bylaw. But I'm pretty sure at least the 2007 edition said heating appliance as what made a kitchen. Because you can have as many refrigerators as you want. You can have as many counters as you want. You can have,
that counts a microwave then.
you can count sinks. I don't know if a microwave is considered a cooking appliance.
no.
I believe an oven is.
Oh, you said cooking appliance. Okay,
Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I thought you said heating.
cooking. I'm sorry, cooking appliance. I'm an oil guy, so maybe I said heating. It's cooking appliance. It's a stove. It's
Yeah.
that's an oven stove combination type unit.
Okay, I think
Put
I'm
that
okay
in,
with,
that's what makes it that's what makes it a kitchen.
okay, I would be okay with just, if Nils could prepare that from our bylaws for the next meeting, or we have all the bylaws. We all know
We
what they
have the
are.
bylaws,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I don't
we- if
recall
we-
seeing something.
If we could add that to the next agenda, I would like to discuss a little further.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll ask Jeff. Jeff, would you allow a building permit to somebody if they wanted to put another kitchen in their house?
Absolutely. If they wanted to put 3 or 4, code wise, there's nothing to say that you can't add a kitchen anywhere.
Okay.
Code wise, again, I'll have to really go through what the bylaw really says, because that would trump the code laws. A code law says that you have to have a cooking, you have to have a refrigerator, you have to have a shower and a bedroom. And actually a living area. that constitutes a apartment or an in-law apartment. Again, with me, an in-law apartment is no separation, no obstruction to get to that in-law apartment other than the bedroom. The bedroom would have a door. But again, I'll sit down with Nils and see what the bylaw actually says for accessory apartment, because that might change a little of it, but I have no objections of someone adding another kitchen into a house.
All right.
If you didn't have a specific delineation, what makes an accessory apartment then? I could have a 4-bedroom house, I can have a 5-bedroom house.
Use makes it an accessory apartment.
I can have as
Use,
many
it's what you're
suites as I
using it
want.
for. It's what you're
And-
using it for.
But that's semantics at that point though, isn't it?
Yes, I truly don't think there's no clear line that we can use to delineate. I mean, we have fighting building inspectors or even state or anyone. Everyone can have their own opinion on it, and I believe that there's loopholes around all of it.
Mhm.
So I don't think that we can either come up with a clear-cut line, as long as I think that us and Jeff are on the same page as in what we think classifies as a accessory apartment. But again, you still will have that one person that can come in and argue his point and probably win, in my mind, personally.
Mhm.
So there's nothing that stops that. A door could also be it. You know, in this case, it's a weird case because it's a cased opening. So in my mind, I don't think there's any way that we could argue that that's still being used as an accessory apartment, because then they can turn around what we talked about and said, well, it's wide open to our house. It's not an apartment.
Right, it's part of the initial house. I agree with you.
So it's it's weird. It's the only way that we could stop it is if someone applied for the accessory apartment and then we followed up on it and it was done. And then at that point, they would have to argue to us why they still have a kitchen in this separated area. I guess.
The zoning bylaw does say though, it has to be subordinate to the main house. It has to be under
Correct.
1,000 square feet.
It has to
Right.
be subordinate in size to the main house, in
Subordinate in
size.
size. Correct.
Yeah, so it's basically
I mean-
smaller than the house. No,
So
you
it-
can't,
it-
you can't have a 500 square foot house and then put a 1,000 square foot in-law apartment, because then it's
And
not
we've had
subordinate.
people try to do that. We've had people try to say, well, now that's going to be the in-law apartment, the main house.
Right.
Gary Guine was the chairman back then.
Mhm.
And no, that doesn't work. There was point where he was not letting people build an accessory apartment that attaches to the main house. And that one there was on, I think it was on Locust Street, that they tried to build an addition and call that the main house. And the accessory apartment was going to be what was the house. But if there was no teeth to the bylaw, then they could just do whatever they want to do. And as long as it attaches, it's all one house.
The bylaw says up to 1,000 square feet of
Correct.
additional living space. It says up to 1,000 square feet of additional living space.
Yeah, I just looked at the bylaw and it doesn't.
Yeah,
It doesn't
doesn't.
say anything about cooking.
What copy? do you- I don't have it in front of me.
I have also under the definition, I was hoping it would say something, but it also did not. I have the copy that was just down June 6, 2016.
So you have the newest one.
yeah, so when
And we
changed.
redid town bylaws on the accessory apartments. Whatchamacallit wrote it up, Mike McHugh.
Yeah, that's
I wanted-
the permit, yeah.
I wonder if he left that. I wonder if it's different now. That's possible.
Well, at that time, we were
it is
only
possible.
dealing with the permit, the 5 years, the five,
5 years,
and the
10 years, they have to come back,
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
But he did rewrite the bylaw. For the
Okay,
planning board.
so I think we should just discuss it, I guess, at the next meeting. Sorry.
I mean,
I,
really, if you,
Okay,
if
absolutely.
that's something you want to bring up, the planning board is the correct venue for it, not this board. This board doesn't make bylaws, the planning board does. So if you want to bring that to the planning board, I think the planning board would be more than happy to bring it up, and if it needs an adjustment, to adjust the zoning bylaw.
I agree that is the right, but I think that the zoning board should have at least an agreed suggestion.
Okay,
Because we're the ones who have to look at it. And I
Right.
think that getting Jeff's opinion is vital as well. So we can So yeah,
Maybe we should meet, put it on the agenda, meet, come up with what we'd like to say, have it say, and then present that to the planning board.
okay. I'm okay with that as well, and that can be for the next meeting.
Are you trying to blow in my ear, Jeff?
Oh, the dog's off, the hair's all.
Sorry.
So Nick, let me ask you something. So what are you thinking when you're bringing this up? What's your end game? What are you thinking?
For the first time ever and during a meeting, I'm not thinking anything in the future of this.
Well, no.
I really don't know. It's just that I've always had a hard time figuring out how we can uphold, the bylaws for an in-law. I mean, granted, not everyone will think like us and just argue the point until they can't.
Mhm.
But if we do get that one person, I don't think that we can tell them to take a kitchen out or anything like that. If they say, oh, my mom moved out, we're using it as another bedroom now, and I like to cook breakfast in my bedroom. Okay, that's all you get.
If Nils could pull the decision for Forge Road, I can't think of the number, Forge Road, it's a low number. The zoning board, I think we either denied it or, so the applicant was buying the property. He was going to rehab the entire property and build a in-law apartment during the rehab. And I believe the board decided that he would have to do the entire rehab, then designate which area he wanted to do the kitchen in. And that's what I remember. He could build, his concern was the building permit. And the building permit, just like you just referenced, it could have everything on there except for the cooking appliance. At that point is when he would need the zoning board of appeals application. Now, I don't know if that was a poll determination on that one, or if that was, I'm pretty sure, because I remember going back and forth with it with Kevin, but the cooking appliance is what made that a second kitchen versus just a room that had a stove, had a refrigerator in it. A lot of people, I have a refrigerator down cellar, a deep freezer. That doesn't make it a kitchen. It's my cellar.
Right.
The hang up was the cooking appliance. Now you're saying it's not in our zoning bylaws. If that's the case, then
I don't recall seeing any mention of cooking appliance as I was scanning through it.
Another suggestion, I guess, would just be like on the electrical or gas or plumbing permit, it would say a cooking device solely for an accessory apartment use. I mean, even that can't be upheld because they've already approved the permit. No one's going back to check it.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I don't have any clear ideas. I just think that we need to do something a little more clear.
So you're
I think
thinking,
that-
your end game is kind of sort of like what happens after this,
Yes.
this permit expires.
100%.
Do we tell the people to remove their kitchen? Or do we tell them they can keep their kitchen? That's your,
I think our total goal is not to have it being rented to just anybody. But now that I think, I can't remember, Scott was aware of the issue with the 5 to 10 years, and Jeff is aware of the issue. So I think we've already made some progress here.
Mhm.
So I think maybe this will solve it, but I think we all can list 5 in-law apartments that we know of that are non-conforming on, just driving down the road.
Mhm.
But there's nothing sorry.
that was Paul's biggest complaint. That's why we did that. We did that bylaw. Paul's biggest complaint is, okay, there's nothing to say, hey, in 5 years, go check to see if this is still done.
Yep.
So it never did. You got your zone, you got your thing, your mom or whoever moved on, which passed away, moved on, moved out, whatever. And now you had an illegal apartment that you rented the rest of your life. And
Right.
not really illegal. You have a building permit for it. It's not illegal to that point. The use may be illegal, but the apartment itself wasn't.
So I guess, Bob, in my case now, if we do the 5 years, just for a general scenario, the parents no longer live in that accessory apartment. The building inspector goes out, checks it. They say, nope, they've moved out. What do we do from there? He can't say, take out your kitchen now. It's just like, well, you no longer have a accessory apartment permit. so you can't rent this. All we have is a verbal, correct? Or am I mistaken about that?
No, I believe you. I believe you're correct. I don't think there's anything in the bylaw that says you have to remove any part of that.
Right, okay.
One
Um,
way I look at it, excuse me.
Yep.
One way I look at it is not having an obstruction to get to that. That's why case openings. So it's really a free flow to that accessory apartment. 5 years down the line, you talked about renting it out to someone else. At that point, someone's going to put a door there. That's going to make it illegal. And I would be able to enforce something like that. But if they started out with a door, and that's going to be tough for me to try to enforce. That's why I feel, again, that's just my opinion, not have a doorway, have it a cased opening. So there's a free flow from the front door house all the way to their living area of the accessory apartment, except for their bedroom. The bedroom definitely has a door. There's supposed to be a privacy. So I don't know if that helps clear things up, or.
I kind of think it makes it worse, because how do you say now it's an accessory apartment, not just an addition to your house?
Because we
You got
just
bedroom.
did.
Instead of a 4-bedroom, you now have a 5-bedroom. Instead of 1 kitchen, you now have 2. There's no delineation between what is your house and what isn't your house. It's all one big house now.
It kind of goes with adding a second kitchen.
Yeah,
but
right.
you don't have a separation of that part of the house. That's why with those cased openings, it gives it that free flow right through it. So, and it brings you back to anybody can put a second kitchen in a house.
Anybody can
I
rent
think-
their basement.
I
Yeah.
think that's what, if we're going to look at zoning bylaws, I changed. I think that's what we look at is if you're putting a second kitchen and then you need why have a duplex? Why even have a duplex bylaw if you're going to just say everything's okay and you don't need, I mean, the duplex bylaw, the town has that specifically, so you can't make it just easy to have, everybody has a separate rental apartment that's in their house.
Well, a duplex too has a separation between
That's
the two.
that's
That's
2
two different
units. You go,
units.
yeah. Yeah, it's
You
2
know, I
units.
know I
Fire
have one.
separated.
When I built my house, I was going to do an in-law apartment for my mother-in-law, and Paul's the one that says, well, just make it a duplex. The same thing, except for you need 50 feet more frontage and you need 50 feet more frontage and 40,000 more square feet of land.
Yeah.
But
We've-
now you
we've
can
had-
rent it out to whomever.
Right, because
But
we've had people come before us and they've had so much land. We've told them, we said, hey, you can just label, you don't even have to get a special permit. You can label this as a duplex and go with it that way. And you can build it bigger and you have a little more,
Correct.
few more things you can do.
Yeah, with
Correct.
that, you would actually have to have a firewall between the two
Right.
with no
Right.
openings to get to it.
Mhm.
Correct. But my point is more if we don't have a separation of what is an apartment versus what is not an apartment, then we definitely need one. I mean,
Right.
to
I
Nick's
do
point,
agree with
what
that.
makes a fifth bedroom, a third bedroom into a fourth bedroom? What makes, if you're saying you allow as many kitchens as you want in your house, then what makes somebody say, yeah, I'm just going to put an addition on I want a second kitchen and another bedroom because I'm having another kid. We need another bathroom. And now they have what essentially is an apartment, and they're only applying for just an addition.
Why can't I
know?
put a kitchen in my basement that's closer to my pool that I don't have? Or, if you live you lived on the pond and your elevation was high, but you wanted to entertain down at the lower part of your house, I can't see why you couldn't put a kitchen down there.
Yeah.
And it would be your second kitchen, but it's not another dwelling, it's just another kitchen.
Hmm.
So I know the previous building inspector I seen him reject a building permit because the person was putting up outlets at counter height. And he told them that you can't do that because you're gonna put a kitchen. And I have a problem with that.
Right.
So,
Well, okay, we can decide at the next meeting, I guess. Sorry I brought it up. Hopefully no one had anything to do. Bob? I can see
Nah,
your
we
face.
talked about this before.
Nope, just nap. No, but we should put it on an agenda and we'll have a discussion. We don't have to, we can have a special meeting just for this. We don't need all the other stuff, any other applicants. And if we come up with something, we can approach the planning board and say this is what we'd like to see on the zoning and see if we can get through the planning board. Like you said, we're the ones that enforce this. This is ours.
Right.
So that would be our mechanism.
All
Jim,
right.
you know somebody on the planning board, right?
Yeah, I know.
I am so happy I got off of that. Not 5-hour meetings.
Oh, that was a 4-hour. Oh, was
Yeah, I don't know how much longer I have on it either. I'm kind of
shh.
over it.
Stop.
I'm not doing another 4-hour meeting. I can tell you that.
No.
I can
Well,
give you guys my resignation letter if you want, so you have something to go
I've
by.
already typed one up. I just haven't submitted it yet.
Yeah. You and Kevin.
I'm waiting for
both
my term
probably-
to end. I don't want to quit before my term ends. I took the term. I'm trying to wait it out, but
All right, well, I looked at the meeting minutes, so I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Sorry, let me just get the, for December 9th.
Nils, can you clean up a little bit of the grammar? There's a couple of he's and it's there that don't need to be there.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Thank you. And I second.
Okay, motion was made and seconded to accept the meeting minutes from December 9th. Roll call vote. Rob Joes,
Aye.
Nick Velozza,
Aye.
Jim Freights, aye. Okay, anything else, guys?
For the next meeting, I'll fix my camera so you guys can see me.
No, I like it this way.
I will say, I will say about the in-law thing. I have chirped in a couple of times in town over the years when I've seen people try to advertise a house as an in-law apartment. I don't agree with that. I don't think anybody should be allowed to sell that house with
And
an
I don't
in-law
know-
apartment.
I don't know how their insurance would go if they're renting their apartment out to XYZ person and there's a fire and it burns down. I don't think their insurance is going to say, hey, that's not
They
your
wouldn't.
in-law. That's not the
They wouldn't.
family member that you had it for. So
Yeah, that'd be the first time that someone told a lie, Bob.
One thing that I'm trying to do is to redo the COs. And if they have an in-law, I'm writing it right on that CO that it's non-transferable and it's for that person that is attended for.
it can be for any family member though, correct? Not
Yeah,
just an
family member.
any
and-
family member.
So if a realtor sells it and they say, oh, it's an in-law apartment or an accessory apartment, see, that's, to me, that wording is kind of, people look at an accessory apartment, oh, I can rent that out to anybody. But they say an in-law apartment, well, I guess that's family. But I'm trying to make it more clear. So if they're gonna go sell the house, the realtors, it's their job to come to the town hall, read that, they'll see that it's non-transferable. And at least at that point, they won't be selling it as a accessory apartment.
Right.
Right, I
Right.
think that we've done everything that we could at that point.
Nothing will
Right.
prevent the new owner from coming in and coming before us and getting their own special permit to move
Yeah.
their mother-in-law or father-in-law into that accessory
Right.
apartment. They just got to go through the process.
Yes.
The only thing we could do is try to do some kind of decommissioning thing that says, this is what we define as an in-law, and when it's done, you got to take this out.
He saw his shadow.
I agree with him. Motion to close the meeting.
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Let's adjourn. That's
My
what-
dog's got to go poop.
I bark the same way.
Yeah. All right, fellas.
Do we need to
I'll
do
tell
a
you,
roll call on the adjournment?
I'll do a roll call on the motion to adjourn.
Oh, look at him.
Rob Joes.
Is that Black Lab?
Hmm?
Sorry, I was looking at the dog.
I see the
No,
dog.
it's okay. Nick, give me an eye.
Aye.
Jim Freights, aye. That's it, fellas.
Good night. Good
Thank
night.
you for your
Have a
ears.
good evening.
Night.
Thanks, guys.
Good evening.
Thanks for coming, Jeff.
All right, thank you.